That's cute. Okay. So what do we think of the book? I loved it. That's it.
Mhm. It's really good.
Yeah.
Damn, I had my book with me and then I lost it. Well, oh, it's right here.
Yeah, the ending made me like it more than, I mean, I liked it, but it improved my rating of it.
Mm.
I found it interesting how I was able to see Taylor's like form of writing, because I felt like towards the end it was a bit of the same of the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I was like, oh my God, like it just feels the same, and you're just kind of like, oh, what? You know, like the part where we find out that it's Julia, the one writing it.
Mhm.
And then the part where it's like, oh, you know, the mom died, Camila died. So then it's like, oh, the possibility of them together. I don't know. It's cool.
I agree with you. It's
I
funny,
want
I was still surprised, but I think it was just the way, because what made it surprising is, for the entire book, it's like the name of the person in a little text box, and that's the format we've been following. And then the format was changed, so I got confused. I'm like, wait, what's happening? Then I was like,
Mhm.
ah.
Yeah. I even went back and I was like, did we even have like a name of the author before? Like a last name, a different last name, because maybe she's married or something. And they never mentioned it. So I was like, wow, that was very sneaky, but very smart.
Very
Yeah.
subtle, yeah.
Edith.
Yeah, it was good. It was different than I expected, because at least from the literal text we read, like, we don't know if anything actually happened between Daisy and Billy besides just those strong feelings. And Camila ended up like, setting a boundary, which I thought was kind of like brutal, but also good at the same time.
Mhm.
And I was surprised that Daisy ended up at her room when, she was like trying to go to her own room, right? I think. When she
Mhm.
ended up at Camila's.
Mhm. I thought in that instant that Billy was gonna like come up to the room, and I was like, oh no, he's gonna like go in there, and then Camila's gonna see, and then it's just gonna get.
I thought that too. I thought like Daisy would be there and Camila would assume like, oh, why are you here? You're looking for Billy or something.
Mhm.
I kept thinking they were gonna somehow end up in the same room, and then something was gonna happen, and I was like, oh, it was that one moment where it happened, and then they're like, well, we're already splitting, or we're already going our separate ways, so that was like the end of it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, wow, the confidence that Camila has to say what she did, I'm just like, geez.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can also tell that she's always been the one who kind of like, not necessarily the leader, but guides the story in a way. Because in the beginning, like when, what's his name? I'm forgetting. Billy went to rehab, it was because of her.
Mhm.
Daisy leaves the band because of her. And I was like, oh my gosh, like you forget how powerful, I guess, she really
And
was.
the abortion, like
Oh yeah.
she didn't fully guide it, but she like made
She
her
was there
make the
supporting
choice.
it. Exactly. So like
Time.
it's kind of like a little underdog. I still don't like her. Just because I'm like, damn it could have been, but there's also some fault into thinking of like Billy and Daisy being together, like breaking the marriage and the kids and all that, but finding your true love. I don't know. But
Does anyone think that if Daisy and Billy did end up together, like Billy would have fallen back into his alcoholism and his addictions? I feel like maybe that's part of the reason like the author didn't make them go back together, because that's what she represented for Billy too, like everything he can't have. And Camila was kind of like what also was keeping him on the straight and narrow.
I remember earlier in the book, I think it was Karen said something like, I think your soulmate is the person who has all the traits you don't. So Camila has like all the traits that Billy doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Daisy and him had very similar traits.
Mhm.
So I think that's what the author was going for, is that she was his soulmate because she had all the traits that he didn't. And that's what he needed.
To have a decent life, yeah.
I wonder if Daisy went to rehab the first time when Teddy died, like when she almost went. If they would have had a shot at a relationship.
Oh, when right before he died?
Mm.
Like if they had
Yeah.
given it a chance, like if she would have.
Mhm.
Yeah, because he was like calling to get her into rehab, but then
Yeah.
someone was calling him to be like, Teddy died, so it
Yeah.
didn't happen. But I wonder if she had gotten clean and then they were touring like sober, maybe it would have happened.
I guess it is with like the whole thing where they were too much alike that they could easily become both weak. And then it's like it could turn out really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like I want to say that maybe she would have gone to rehab. But if Teddy hadn't died, I think they would have been good at like supporting each other. Because the fact that he was there, he's like, oh, I'll call and I'll do this, I'll do that. But because he fell apart, I feel like she needed that strong person there and he wasn't there for her. So I guess a little telling of what would have happened in the future. Like it just wouldn't have, you know, been stable.
I think Daisy needed to change to ever like be able to be with Billy, but since she still was an addict and not showing like a good life trajectory, I guess. Like if she kept going with the drugs, even though towards the end she started cleaning up too, I feel like it just wouldn't be a recipe for success. It would be like Daisy and Nicolo, like how they were just bad and he left her in the bathtub, you know. That could have happened to Daisy and Billy, I think, like if they got together kind of willy-nilly without a large amount of time passing. And I think everything was really intense with the band and that augmented the angst of them not being able to be together with the feelings they had toward each other. So maybe it was better that in the future, once the band broke up and like all that wasn't as present and immediate, they could actually be like, okay, so I really like you for you, or was it also like, you know, the band and the theme and the excitement like adding to it?
Or the fact that they couldn't be with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how they say that you want what you can't have.
Good point. Mm-hmm. Hey, Krista.
Hello.
Hello. What did you think?
I thought, oh, hi, you found me. So I was hiding from my dog. I really liked it. I thought it was, so I was a little behind to begin with. I was probably like a week behind, maybe a week and a half. So I did most of my reading yesterday and today. And I don't know, I really liked it. I thought it was kind of, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of what was I thinking of? Oh my God. Oh, How I Met Your Mother.
Oh,
Because they're like kind
Oh.
of telling like the story, like, you know, like he's ends up talking to he's talking to his daughter, right? It's almost like, or Billy, right? It's like his daughter's telling the story. So it's kind of like a flip. And at the end
Yeah.
with the letter saying
Oh.
like, oh, you know, after the mom died, give your dad some time, but you know, like give him Daisy's number. Yeah, so it's kind of like, oh, it's like Robin and
Yeah.
whatever. So it kind of like, I don't know. I thought it was still cute, but it very much reminded me of How I Met Your Mother.
I thought you were gonna say the Seven Husbands. I was like, yes, we already talked about this before you were here. But good point. That really is very parallel. Although they didn't really try the relationship the same way that Robin and
No.
what's his name?
Ted.
Ted. Yeah,
I was like, what's his name? Ted.
that's cool.
But I still really liked it. And I thought it was really sweet. And then there was like the moment where it's like she's about to leave. Like I'm already here choking up. Like I was already getting ready to cry. And then Luis starts talking. I was like, he killed the mood.
What part were you gonna cry?
I can't even remember. It was like where the moment where it's like where ¿cómo se llama? La esposa?
Camila.
Camila.
Camila had told her like, oh, you have to go, and she had made the decision to leave. Like I was like, you know, because she's like, oh, we can never be right. So I was like over here like choking up.
Yeah.
That line where she said something's gonna break and it's not gonna be Billy and it's not gonna be me, it's gonna be you.
Yeah, there
Oh,
we go. That's where I
That
was like,
one was very
oh.
charged for sure.
That's where the confidence that I'm like, I don't think I could ever tell someone that way, like
I
something
know.
like that.
but she knows
I'd end
him.
up
It's because she
crying.
knows him. He
I
even
know.
said like he couldn't, like he
Yeah.
loves Daisy, but he goes like, you know, his greatest love is his family, like his
Yeah.
kids, his daughters. Like he could never break that or ruin that relationship.
She actually says it a little different. I'm gonna read it just because I was thinking Camila was saying Billy was strong too, but she actually didn't. She says, I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. I don't expect anything to be perfect, but things don't have to be perfect to be strong. So if you're waiting around hoping that something's going to crack, I have to tell you that it's not going to be me, and I can't let it be Billy, which means it's going to be you. That's like,
Yeah. But still, like he said it on a side, like when he was at the bar, he said that he could never, like when he was contemplating whether he was going to do something about his emotions or not, he already made up his mind
I think
that
it's
his family was, you know, he was going to stay with his family.
yeah.
because he had already messed up once. And I think
Yeah.
he's the type who's like, I already messed up, I'm not gonna do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's very great of him. But I still wanted that love. Which maybe it happened, you know, like when they're 16, who knows what.
You never know.
Old love.
It worked out for Ted and Robin. Even though I was not happy with that ending, I really wanted Robin to be
Barney.
with Barney.
Yeah, it was kind of
I'm
like
Team Barney.
Sure. Yeah, I feel that.
This is more random, but I am surprised Eddie stayed with the band until Daisy left, because I thought for sure he was going to be like, okay, I'm done, and just like leave.
Yeah.
He was just also very full of himself. He's like, oh yeah. And then what was he saying? When she was going over the recap of what they were each doing, he's like, oh yeah, I ended up on top. And I'm like,
He's a record producer now. Yeah.
I
Nice.
I don't know, man. I feel like I would have forgotten about you.
He has that like kind of cringy attitude, yeah, where it's like, oh, there's not that much about me, like, but then he's like, but I'm awesome, you know.
He kind of reminds me of like a little chihuahua. Like he has a lot of bark, but he's not going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. I'm also glad she left. I mean, I feel like we all kind of knew she was gonna leave Nikki, and the way she did it, I was like, wow.
Gosh, live in another country. Yeah.
That was also kind of powerful. And I was like, she's getting her like, I don't know, independence back in a way, although
Yeah.
she's still a little.
Because he definitely wasn't healthy. I thought he was going to be worse, just of like some of the things that he was being described at, but still, like when she was, you know, really sick and just putting her in the bathtub instead of actually calling like a doctor, that's not good.
Yeah. And then Karen and Graham. I mean, I feel like when the whole
That was-
pregnancy came out, I'm just like, there's always that, like, I feel like in all of our books, it goes la 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 baby or like pregnancy, right? So when that happened, I was like, you know what? I'm not even surprised. Like it
No,
keeps
because it's rock
happening
and
in
roll,
all of our
baby.
books. What?
It's rock and roll.
It's rock and roll, baby. You know? But it was kind of interesting that they brought out that whole like I don't want this baby to like, take my life. And she even said, if I were in his shoes and someone else was taking care of the baby, then I'd do it. And I was like, damn, a different perspective when people don't think about it that way, when it's like it's always the mom and the dad, yes, they'll try and be there, but it's always like they're not the same as the mom.
He
100%.
did get what he wanted though. He did settle. Like he whatever got married, had 2 kids,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, he did.
And she still like lived her dream. Like I think she retired in her 60s or something,
Mhm.
like as a musician.
Yeah. But I feel like if they had the baby or they had been together,
Mhm.
he may have been happy, but it was clearly not her dream.
No,
Yeah,
she would have
that's-
settled for something
Yeah,
that she didn't want.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm like, I'm happy that it didn't go that way. And they all kind of ended up in the life that they wanted,
Mhm.
Mhm.
somewhat.
I did really like Karen.
So why do we think
Then-
Pete isn't included in the series?
Oh, is it because he's
Maybe 'cause-
like, I have nothing to contribute?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I'm like,
Yeah.
One died, one has nothing to contribute. I think is what happened. Yeah.
he was there, but besides just talking about the girlfriend or being
Didn't.
over there and not really saying much, like I can see why they didn't include him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It kind of makes sense because like to Pete, the band wasn't like the biggest deal.
Yeah.
It's like a side thing that he was doing. And then
Mhm.
to the book, Pete also is not like the biggest deal.
Yeah.
Mhm. He's just there as a brother, basically. That's it.
Yeah, it's just weird, like, because it's called the Six. The Six Band.
There are some questions in the back of my book if anyone
Oh,
go over them.
that's cool. I don't have that. Did you guys read the acknowledgements though?
Yeah.
I
Not
think
quite.
No,
no.
I don't think it was on the audio, but
Oh.
what does it say?
It's kind of lengthy. She just pretty much saying like thank you to all her group, the people who obviously helped her and encouraged her in this book, the different like not publicists.
Her
but-
brother helped her have a good taste in music.
Yeah,
That was
I just like that. I think it felt personal
Mhm.
because she's kind of talking in the end. She's talking to her husband and then to her daughter. And
Mhm.
I feel like in that's where she got that idea of like, oh, let's have Julia be the daughter of, so
Mhm.
it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Let's see, I can read like she even gave thanks to the nanny. She's like, thank you, nanny, for taking care of my girl. She has a daughter. Like taking care of my daughter when I couldn't. And like obviously her husband was working as well. It's like we appreciate all that you've done. Never ending thank yous to you and to the in-laws, to the husband. I can read the husband and the daughter part. I thought that was cute. Said to Alex, it was hard to know where to acknowledge you because you have your hand in every aspect of the story. You came up with the idea with me, taught me about music theory, listened to rumors with me, fought about Lindsay Buckingham and Christine McVie with me, gave up a job to be home more, became the primary parent, and read the book approximately 9 million times. And most of all, you make it easy to write about devotion. When I write about love, I write about you. We're 10 years into this party and I'm still mad for you. And I was like, oh, almost crying. I was like, I need that. And then for the daughter, she's like, and lastly, the piece de resistance. I don't know what language that is, probably French or like little italicized. It says, the piece of resistance of my world, Lila Reed. You have changed me in ways that I am truly grateful for. My tiny captain and this book and the heart and soul within it is a testament to how I feel about being your mother. There are so very many ways to be in this world, and sometimes I think I'm writing just so I can show you some of them. no matter what, I'm gonna make sure you keep that feisty, opinionated, curious, offers everyone her Cheerios heart you have going on right now because you are one in a million. And I was like, "Ah." I feel like when they do that and the book is good, it just automatic a 5 for me. I'm just
Mhm.
like, you made it personal and beautiful. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't read it. Thanks for pointing that out, Judah.
Oh, but you got questions. That's also kind of cool.
I think that I just when I finished it, I was kind of like in book. What do they call it? Book hangover.
Oh,
But also I was distracted because Rico was installing something in the house. So like I was like really into like those last bits, and then I would hear like drilling, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, we need to stop so I can focus on this. And I had to a little left that when I finished it, I was just like, oh, and I threw like the book to the side. Well, I didn't really throw it, but I put it to the side and I didn't look anymore. But I'm looking at the end just now because I have the lyrics, the acknowledgements. Then there's a conversation with the author that takes up a couple pages, and then the
oh.
questions at the very end, plus a
The
preview.
audiobook had like a song of Honeycomb, but it was just the music.
Yeah.
Oh. Like the music from like the movie
I don't know. I
or
don't know, but it
it's
said it was
more?
Honeycomb, but it was just the
Mhm.
music.
It didn't sound like the trailer music. Is that what you mean for the show?
Yeah, like was it that one song? No.
I
Oh.
think you'll and the trailer one is honey. They say honeycomb, right? I think is one of them.
I think it's I don't know because I think the main trailer has actually I don't know because I don't think I saw the actual trailer. I was like, I don't need spoilers right now.
I think it was just it didn't sound similar.
Oh, okay.
But the audiobook is very good. If you ever want to reread it.
Hmm. I'll probably get it. I want to see the show, and then I'm sure I'm gonna want to like read this book or listen to it again. This one I would reread, I think.
And the voice actors are film actors too.
Mm.
That's what I thought. Was who was it that was playing? I was like, I recognize this voice. She's not that big of an actress, but she's kind of like, oh my god,
She has like blonde hair.
yes,
Uh-huh.
she's kind of
Oh.
curvy.
Mm-hmm. And then I was listening to it, and my roommate asked me, is that Jennifer somebody who was doing Daisy's voice?
Mhm.
And I guess it's an actress on a show called The L Word.
Oh,
So, and then the guy from Miss Congeniality, the security guard, is Graham.
mm.
Oh my god, how funny!
Mhm.
No wonder it's on a two put together. Just kidding. No, I thought well, I mean, I used the Audible when I was like driving around.
Mhm.
The most part, I feel like I read most of it, but I did listen to the Audible sometimes.
I listened to it once and I wanted to go back, but I just enjoy it better when I actually read it to myself.
Oh, well, you read it so much faster when you're reading it because the Audible was like would tell me I have 3.5 hours left in the book.
Mhm.
My Kindle was telling me I have 2.5 hours left. I was like, what an hour difference.
I like reading the book, and then if I really like it later, listening to an audiobook because then I can remember, and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, you need to find the connections when you hear it on audio than reading for me at least. It's like another gift.
I feel like I'm usually doing it last minute that I don't have time to do both. If I'm super ahead, then I do what Corina does. I read it and then I was like, let me listen. Or let me read what I already listened to. And then I catch on to other things that I didn't while I was listening.
Yeah.
pretty exclusive with audiobooks. But yeah, usually the audiobooks it's like one or two people and they just kind of change their voice. So it was cool having the different voices and like they were totally different. Like the biographer sounded like kind of Asian American or something, and I don't know. It was just cool.
What are some of the questions, Karina? Any good ones?
There's 15 questions. I could read them and then I think like I don't know like how good we will all think they are, but if there's one we like want to skip, we could also just skip it too. Sorry, I lost it. Topics for discussion. All right, first one. This book is written in an oral history format. Why do you think the author chose to structure the book this way? How does this approach affect your reading experience? I liked it. I felt like it made it seem faster because we weren't like listening to descriptions of like landscapes and things like that. We're just kind of in their brains.
Yeah. I think it definitely kept me more, it captivated the readers, I would say, because it's different.
It felt more realistic too. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
think we all were like, wait, is this about a real band?
Yeah.
Felt like a movie too. Like, you
Mhm.
know, those books where you read them and then you kind of want to tell a friend, you're like, oh my gosh, I was watching this show, but it's the book and it's not a show.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's how I felt with this. I'm like, oh, I gotta go back and watch this. But I'm like, I'm not watching anything. It's a book. That's cool.
All right, the next one says, at one point, Daisy says, I was just supposed to be the inspiration for some man's great idea. I had absolutely no interest in being somebody else's muse. How does her experience of being used by others contribute to the decision she makes when she joins the Six? I think the author makes her name at the beginning of Daisy Jones and the Six to make a point about that.
Yeah, I think she also sees that as that's like the best opportunity to show that she can create something because she was already doing her stuff, but I feel like joining a band who was already coming up more than she was helped her to show that.
And she set a lot of boundaries at the beginning,
Oh yeah, that too.
Mhm.
that it was as much of her album as it was theirs.
Mhm.
I think she had to do that too because it was probably, even though she was very confident, sometimes it can be hard to come into a group, even if it's a band or not, you know, come into a group where you feel like you're the newer one and everyone else already kind of has some sort of like, they've determined like what type of relationship they have with each other, you know? All right, I'm gonna go to the next one. Why do you think Billy has such a strong need to control the group, both early on when they are simply the Dunn brothers and later when they become Daisy Jones and the Six?
I think that's his personality.
Yeah.
There's just people that like to take lead in things.
He's just a natural leader. A bit
Or wanna-
selfish. What?
A wannabe leader.
I don't want it. No, I think he's well, we could argue about that.
Yeah, because he keeps calling it his band, and it's like, it's our band, not his band.
But in the end,
think-
he was doing a lot of the decision making, and nobody really fought him, or like they wanted to, but nobody really had the gut to stand up to him. So it's like they all listened. So as a leader, you want people to listen, and they all did. So
Yeah,
That's true.
I think too, even though Billy is not super conceited or cocky, I think he does know, like at the beginning, how they were saying like, oh, everyone's good, but he's the star. I think he does have like some level of awareness of that. And maybe like how he was treated by the manager and the producer made him like feel like, okay, this is just the natural order of things, and he didn't really question it that much.
Maybe he just has that stardom pizzazz where he knew how to write good songs. He had a voice. And usually the people who sing are the ones who end up being the leaders, even though, like maybe some of the songs aren't theirs. But I think him having the voice and being upfront and then also creating the music, I think put him in that position too.
Yeah,
But it's also his personality, I think.
I think that's why him and Daisy clashed so much too, because she's also very strong and she wanted to be a leader.
Yeah.
I think that also Billy really wanted to please Ted because of like his absent father issues. And I think maybe that's why he wanted to feel like control too, so he could always have Ted's approval. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next one. It says there are two sets of brothers in the six, Eddie and Pete's loving and Billy and Graham Dunn. How do these sibling relationships affect the band?
So it's interesting. I was actually looking at like the Audible to see who were the people who were the different characters. And they're giving a little brief description of the, each character. And it came across Pete and Eddie, and I forgot their last name was Loving, which has nothing to do with this. But Pete was the original member of the band. Eddie was brought in. Pete doesn't care. Isn't that interesting?
That
He's
is
the OG who was in the band. And he's the one who I think brought Eddie.
Mm,
And Eddie's the one who's like, he didn't, obviously we talked about that he was a little
Yeah.
bit of an outcast because he was brought into this, trying to be
Maybe that's why,
feelings in
yeah.
the spot. And I thought it was interesting that Eddie cared more about it than Pete did.
Mhm.
That's not the question, but I just thought of it.
No, it's a good connection.
I think there's two sets of brothers to like balance out the band, because if it's just Eddie going off, they could have just like kicked him out.
Yeah.
But they weren't going to do that to maybe respect Pete.
Mhm.
So and that's why they have the two buses
Mhm. Mm.
too, to separate Billy and Daisy. It wouldn't make sense if Daisy was the only one on board, and because Eddie didn't really like Billy, then Eddie and Pete were with her.
Good connection. I think the younger siblings definitely kind of like wanted to be in the footsteps of the older siblings too. And I think that kind of made it a different dynamic. Like I think that Eddie and Graham in different ways like wanted more attention from their older brothers, maybe. Like Eddie like more wanted Pete to be like, okay, yeah, the band is so cool, and yes, let's do this, let's do that. And Graham with Karen and with the abortion, I feel like he was really looking for his older brother to be there for him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, and that part was kind of tough to read too.
Which we were able to see how, I think before, can't remember what part. I think there was some sort of interview and they're like, oh, how can you stand to work with your brother?
Mhm.
And he was like, no, there's no issue. And then here we come and there's an issue between them where he's not there for him. And he's like, why can't you give me 5 minutes? And poor Graham. He hit rock bottom and not even his brother was there. That is sad.
Yeah. That part I definitely didn't like. I think Billy, like in a way, took Graham for granted a few times, especially like when he didn't want to put his song in the album. And Graham kind of reminded me of Pete in a little in that way, because he wasn't like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make sure this song goes to the next album or something. He just sold it. So I was like, okay, he's good at this, but he's not like as invested as like Billy and Daisy. All
I
right.
think it was also nice that
Mm.
with that whole breakup, when they were each going through their stuff, how like no member really knew what everyone was going through. Like they were kind of all dealing with their own stuff. And it's like, hey, why don't you just say, hey, how are you? How are
Mhm.
you doing? How's it going? Like, I feel like for Karen, only Camila knew.
Mm-hmm.
For Billy, I don't think anybody knew he was going through it. It was just on himself. Daisy, obviously Camila knew again because she was there. And Graham, Karen, because they're in that situation. But it was like, it wasn't like everyone knew and then there was like more support for one person. They all just kind of broke out and it was chaos for everyone and it's kind of sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like they were very good as a band, but I don't think they were like that friendly with each other sometimes. Like what you were just saying, it makes a lot of sense. And that's why the person taking the interviews had to kind of track them down, because it's not like they probably stayed in touch or anything.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to question 5. It says Daisy, Camila, Simone, and Karen are each very different embodiments of female strength and creativity. Who are you most drawn to and why? That's a good question.
I'm over here like, I'm gonna say Daisy because I think she's chaotic and I feel like I could be chaotic. And I would like to say Karen, but there's certain parts where she didn't stand up for herself. And I feel like I probably would have gotten, like, let's say if, with the whole music thing and Billy changed something, I feel like I would have gone up to Billy. I already told you I don't like Camila. and she's just so bold and I think that Daisy is bold, but there's also like those moments where she just gets weak and I feel like that's me. I'm pretty weak, although sometimes I may not look like it. Yeah, that's it.
I think I'm more drawn to Karen just because I like how she was like, I'm here for the music, like I want to do it well and I want to be treated like a professional. Like that part was appealing to me. I agree with you though that I wish she would have spoken up for herself a little bit more. But I think she was more down to earth than some of the other characters, some of the other female characters.
I the thing I liked about Simone is that she did try to help Daisy, but she wasn't gonna like also baby her
Mhm.
too much.
Mhm.
And I like what you said about their friendship, like she was gonna be there for her on her worst days. It sounds like I'm crying. I'm just getting over a cold.
It's okay, you can be emotional. It's Pisces season, it's a thing.
Sounds like I'm like getting choked up. The thing about Camila is that I feel like she kind of embodied I guess the mindset of some women back then, like you sacrifice yourself completely for your family and like for your husband. And why I think that she did it for her family and that she loved them, she's going to keep them together. I just don't understand how that didn't like damage her emotionally, everything that Billy put her through. And I don't know how she could be so proud of some of those decisions. But I guess I can say I appreciate how she was trying to help everybody. I just think she was a little unrealistic. The only one that was kind of unrealistic to me.
Idealistic too, I think, for Camila. But I like what you said about Simone. I didn't really think about her that much when I was deciding mine, but I do really like how she was so loyal to Daisy. Such a good friend, like to be left in another country by your friend and you still are trying to help. So I do appreciate the friends in my life. So that definitely is appealing about Simone.
Or the fact that she kept calling. She's like, I called Portland, I called here, I called there, I couldn't find her. Then I found her. And she's like, no matter what, I'm here. And like, I feel like Corina said that I'm like that with my friends too, and I feel like I would definitely relate to her, but I forgot about her, and that's so sad.
I
to
forgot
say
too,
it
I feel
too.
bad now.
Until Katie mentioned it, I was like, oh, that's right. Simone wasn't an option. Fuck. But
Thank you. And thanks to you guys, your friends too, for being so awesome. Thanks, Katie, for bringing someone back up. Oh, wait. You guys, Daleen, which female character do you most relate to?
are you most drawn to?
Most drawn to, yes.
Round
Thank you.
two? I don't know. I feel like I would say Simone too, just because she really, I mean, she goes out of her way to make sure that Daisy's taken care of. Because, like, I admire Camila for being so confident, but it also is, it's just insane that she cannot put herself first, I guess. To like consider her own feelings. So I don't know that I admire that. But I mean, she is really confident, so overall. So I think I'd go for Simone.
I think it will be interesting on a side note. This what you said, Daleen, made me think of this. I think someone mentioned in the past, like meetings, that in the show it seems more like Camila's gonna be like the more intensely jealous type.
Mhm,
I wonder like how our perception of the girls in the show will be
mhm,
compared to what we think about them in the book. I
mhm.
haven't seen a lot of the trailers because I like what Judith said about like try not to see stuff so you don't get spoilers. I thought I was very tempted to, but I did see one of the pictures where it's like Billy and Daisy kind of like together on one side, and then Camila's like this, and I was just like, oh, she looks more overtly jealous there, and that's just one image, a promotional image, So I'm like, how will that play out in the show? All right, Crystal, which female character are you most drawn to and why?
I'm gonna say Julia because she only showed up in the important parts.
I was gonna say, is anybody gonna pick Julia? Because I mean, she is kind of cool. You have to be like Daisy. You got a cool dad. I don't know about the mom, but moms be just kidding.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, she wasn't listed in the thing, which is interesting.
Mhm.
But she is another female in the book. All right, Julie, which female character are you most drawn to and why? Where is she knocked out?
I'm like, Julia hasn't fallen asleep on us in a while. If this is the time, te la paso. It's okay.
I'll text her to find out the answer later.
I'll
All
give
right.
it to you. It's okay.
There's about 9 questions left. Y'all want me to go through all of them or pick the ones or read them all and maybe one person answers? We take turns. What do you guys want to do? Some of the questions are pretty good.
Read the next best one.
Yeah, I was gonna say pick like your top 2.
That's so much pressure. Oh my gosh.
Well, you're the only one who has the question, so but let's see.
Okay, I think I'm number 15 if you're old enough to have memories of the 1970s.
Yeah.
Not right.
No.
Okay, I have this one kind of relates to what Katie was talking about. Question 8. What do you think of Camila's decision to stand by Billy despite the ways that he has hurt her through his trouble with addiction and wavering faithfulness? How would you describe their relationship? How does it differ from Billy and Daisy's relationship?
Toxic. It's very toxic.
Yeah,
But I feel like a lot of relationships did, right? Like back in I don't know, like back in the day. It's like there was a lot of open relationships. There was a lot of, especially dating like a musician or married to a musician. Like, I think he did pretty good for being married,
I mean,
compared to others.
do we know that though? Like now that we know that Billy is talking to his daughter, is he saying all the truth? I don't know.
Mm,
And even
could be
even
filtering it.
then,
He could be
yeah,
fil-
and even then, I think it's like, I think Paola had mentioned that everyone who's talking is very unreliable. And I think in this section, there was someone who was like, "Oh yeah, I made a bet with maybe it was Warren and Karen." They're like, "I made a bet that yeah, that
Daisy
Daisy
wouldn't be
wasn't
wearing
gonna
a
wear a
bra.
bra. I won $200." And then he said, "I made a bet that she wasn't gonna wear a bra. I won $50." And I'm like, how does that? It doesn't match.
Yeah.
Too much drugs, too many drugs.
Also,
Yeah, that. Yeah, I can see that. There's also been like, time has passed, so they forgot. They don't really, it wasn't such an important part of their life to be like, oh yeah, I won 200 and like I won 50. But once again, they're not very reliable. So maybe something did happen.
mhm. I like what you guys are saying. I agree that Billy's probably not going to tell his daughter, like, oh, yes, I cheated on your mom, Daisy Jones, especially because was Julia that one that says, oh, I want to be Daisy Jones. Daisy Jones is the
Yeah.
best in the band. You see that?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
This leads in really nicely to the other question I chose, which is cool. What role does the reliability of memory play in the novel? Were there instances in which you believed one person's account of an event more than another's? What does the author mean when she states at the beginning, the truth often lies unclaimed in the middle?
I pretty much always believed whatever Daisy was saying, just because she really didn't have any reason to lie. Or I just feel like she's not that type of person. I feel like Billy wouldn't mean to lie, but he tries to lie to himself to make himself feel better about things. And then like Warren and Eddie just have big egos, kind of. So I kind of believed Daisy and Karen the most. Maybe that's because they're women.
I was gonna say the same thing. I'm like, I don't know if I'm being biased in that they're women and the men are just like how you said, their ego, and they're over here playing, saying that, oh, I'm better at this or this happened, just to like be impressive. And also Billy was lying to himself and is lying to Camila from what we know, maybe lying to his daughter. Like we don't know. So I always believe Daisy and Karen and Simone. So there you go. Yeah, female.
I think one of the lines from the book that makes me say, like, I don't think anyone lied from their perspective per se, but it's like how much truth did they tell, right? Because I think it's in their line where Daisy's talking about Billy, and then she's like, wait, do we have to say like everything or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that made me
exactly.
be like, okay, like maybe, I don't know, maybe more happens, but I agree with what you are all saying, that I think the females are more believable.
And I think it's more also like where it says the truth lies in the middle. It's because each party tells from their own perspective, and it's going to keep that's like makes them look bad or whatever. So that's why it's like, oh, it's like the truth is really a combination of the two. It's like there's that blurred line.
Mm-hmm.
Or like in that situation that I was describing previously where Karen said, oh, I won $200 and she didn't wear a bra. And Warren's like, she didn't wear a bra, I won 50. The truth is she didn't wear a bra. We don't know how much they each won, because that's, like that's the thing that's kind of like the lie. So I guess in that way, how you were saying, they're both telling a story, but then there's like the in between, more of the factual. She didn't wear a bra, and that's it. There's no lie to that. What would he lie about?
Yeah.
Like that you can't really.
But they're also like looking back at this, that they're not telling the story as it was happening. So it could have like, oh, it happened. You remember the gist of it, but you don't remember how much.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been different if the author, with all these interviews, was not Julia? Because I think everyone knows that Julia obviously is the daughter of Billy. So there's a kind of like, oh, there's that relationship between, you know, like she was this and she was younger.
Mhm.
She's Billy's daughter. We don't want to like say certain things. Do you think
Huh.
it would have been a bit different if it was a complete like,
Andrew.
yeah,
About that because I don't know if it lists in the book. If they did, I probably forgot. But do we know if she's going by like her real last name or like by a pen name? I think
That's-
someone pulled that up earlier. Because if time has passed and they haven't seen her since she was little, like they might not recognize her.
yeah.
Um, or it could just be out in the open, like, okay, yeah, we know you're Billy's daughter. But
That's
if
also
you didn't
true.
know, then that could make it different.
Daisy did know.
I think she did, and I think that's why she said that comment. Yeah.
And obviously Billy would know.
Mhm.
And Graham would know. Because they're family.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
we
yeah.
don't know.
you're right. They probably knew then. That makes sense.
I was like, we don't know if Karen or Simone.
And I guess we don't know if they all traveled to the author to be there for the interview or if she traveled to them, right? Because if they all traveled to one spot, then it would be more obvious.
Mhm.
Would spill the beans or let it be known. Yeah, we're all a really good book.
That's true. We don't know if they all got together and then she interviewed them all. Or
Let me
if
see.
they're in different locations.
I'm just saying that too because on the one bit of a trailer that I did see, I just saw like different people sitting down and it looked to
Yeah.
be like at the same location.
Yeah,
So
that's what that's same
Yeah.
thought. Same thought.
Are they doing like a video on top of like just recording audio and then everyone is at the same spot? Or was it separate? Because that would be different. It would add like a different layer, like when people get together after a long time of not seeing each other. I feel like that could be like a bit of nostalgia, and I feel like that can help the past look better than maybe what it was.
Mhm.
But she says that it at the beginning, author's note, it says she has done these interviews over the course of the last 8 years, which makes me think she
Mhm.
traveled to them individually.
Mhm.
Some interviewees were difficult to track down, so she was definitely the one doing the traveling, I think.
Yeah. I liked it. I gave it a 5.
I really liked it too. I also give it a
Yeah.
5.
Me
I
too.
also give it 5.
Let me go update my Goodreads. I always forget. Mhm. Done. Such a good book.
Mhm.
At the end, I was thinking about how I want to read more of her books.
Oh,
She
y'all
has
should have
several,
voted for
right?
my book.
What?
You should have voted for my book.
Who said I
Yeah.
didn't? You don't know who voted.
That's true. That's true. Well, it didn't win.
Well, based
My
on the
students
chart,
learned a dance move today, and it's like this: como si estás aventando sal,
what is that?
like you're throwing salt.
I was like, wait, have you guys seen Ginny and Georgia?
Yeah, I
No,
love
but
it.
I've heard.
Oh, I just recently
Good.
finished it and oh my God, I love. So then seeing that whole like the love between Paul and Georgia, I need that. And then reading the acknowledgement in this, I was like, I need that. So that was beautiful.
Oh, it's good. It evokes a lot of emotions. And
Oh,
yeah,
it's so
I do.
dark.
I do really like Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author too.
Yeah.
I think it's my
I
third.
kind of like. Is it too soon to say that I like her a little better than Colleen?
Oh, I'm kind of on that, but not 100% sure.
I love Colleen Hoover books. Like, don't get me wrong. I've read quite a few, but I don't know. I feel like she's a little more youthful. Fun, you know what I mean? Like I
Mhm.
feel like Taylor Jenkins kind of like her demographic is a little older than, you know,
Class-
teens and early 20s.
Mhm.
I don't want to say classy, but more mature or more
Yes.
like the way she writes.
Gross, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she's more dynamic.
Yes.
I
Yes. That's a
think,
good word. Dynamic.
Colleen Hoover is good for something like a little more like, oh my gosh, like it's gonna take us for a wild ride. And it's a little more like at moments I do think like I find it like a bit sensationalist with what I've read from her so far, which I think I've actually read more Colleen Hoover books than Taylor Jenkins.
For
But I
sure.
think, and the reason, Chris, I know that I think I do have like a slight preference for Taylor Jenkins Reid is because someone was talking about the other book, It Starts With Us. And then I was like, oh, have you read this other book by Taylor Jenkins Reid? And they were like, oh, like wait, they got confused because we had been talking about Colleen Hoover. But I
Mhm.
think I like was suggesting like a Taylor Jenkins Reid book because I do like find those a little bit better. And I think like there's more of a build and more mystery. And I think sometimes that's more difficult to do than like a
Mhm.
big twist. Because it's like a slow build versus like a boom.
Yeah. I think it's also the world that she has created that's more of like
They're all connected.
more what?
They're all connected.
I mean that, but also the fact that, you know, it's like music. And then for Evelyn Hugo, it was like movies. And it's like this world that we see in movies and music, but we don't read about unless it's like,
Yeah.
what is it, documentaries? But even I don't read documentaries. Corina does. I don't. So so it's like it wouldn't attract me as much. So I feel like it's kind of nice to dive into this and be like, whoa, this is actually interesting.
It's like
Mhm.
historical fiction in a way done like very, very well.
Yeah.
And I like history stuff. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's also what makes it really appealing to me.
Like Colleen Hoover is more of like the
Modern
other books out there,
Mhm.
which not to say she's like the common ones, but it is more romance and it's more, I guess, like books that
Gushy.
what?
It's more gushy.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so. I was gonna say more of like if you're in a reading slump, they could easily get you out of there because they're a little bit quicker. And these I
Mhm.
think would take a bit longer,
Mhm.
more details and more like whoa. I don't know.
There is a section of book talk I think that like bashes Colleen Hoover. I'm not really sure why all the time because they say like there's a lot of plot holes in her books. I think I saw a video on Verity. I did not watch it. I like to, this is weird. I like to like watch and read the captions without listening to the audio. So I don't get like the full information sometimes, but they were like saying there was a lot of plot holes in Verity. And I was like trying to think back on it. But, you know, it's been a bit since we read it, but I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I think overall, like I still enjoyed it. I didn't hate it, but I liked it, but I was not aware of any plot holes. And that if there was, then that means we all missed
Because we were
Already?
reading it so quickly. that You're like,
Yeah.
maybe.
But you're not really like
a detriment.
yeah.
Didn't Colleen get some backlash recently?
For
what?
her son, no? Or
I think there's like multiple things. Like one thing was I'm trying to look it up. But
Okay.
there's
I have
her son. That he was like, what happened? I just know it was something with multiple.
I think he was like domestically abusing his girlfriend or something like that.
Gosh.
Or an ex-girlfriend, right? Because he had a new
Yeah. Something like that.
I was think from what I see, she was like endorsing It Ends With Us coloring book.
Oh yes, I remember.
I do feel like there was something with that.
But they were like canceling her because they felt like she was profiting off of domestic violence to have like a coloring book based off of a book.
Like that it was just not in very good taste given like the severity of like what domestic violence and abuse is. I remember saying that.
I was
I-
thinking, yeah. I was thinking like pretty much saying like, oh, you can calm down coloring a book.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would calm down your trauma from domestic violence. And I'm like, not really. So
Right.
yeah,
I wonder if it had like actual scenes of it though, or like if it was just about the books. I think that would make it different. But I do agree it's like in very poor taste. There's like some things you shouldn't like joke about or make coloring books about, I suppose.
I mean, there is a lot
or
of
it's just advertising that they try to use, not necessarily like what it is. It's
Mhm.
the advertising that they try to use or try to,
Oh, got it. Mm-hmm.
What was the advertising?
well, like, oh, coloring makes you feel like calm you down or whatever.
Oh,
Like that's
okay,
bad.
I get it,
advertising.
Oh, like after this happens to you, like you color it and it goes away.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like-
yeah, it's
like what I
literally
was saying,
for
yeah.
sure.
Or sorry, bad marketing.
Yeah. I think she took it back, right?
Yeah.
You decided to pull it.
I heard something like that.
Hmm.
I saw
I
the
didn't get too into
post.
it, but I feel like because I'm not saying and I'm not giving Book Talk credit for her fame because she does have a lot of books, but it did help her to get a little bit more out there. So I feel like there's also a lot of people who are like, I don't really like Hoover. Oh, Hoover this, Hoover that. And I was like, geez, like now she's getting more of the negative, and back then it was more like read.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll still read her stuff.
I books, yeah, but that I do agree that coloring book was not like
I
good,
wasn't
but
getting fired.
I didn't know about that way it was marketed. I just thought it was the coloring book in general.
What's our new book? I keep trying to look for it on our Instagram.
Lessons in Chemistry. Oh, I don't think I put it up.
You
Just
put it
'cause
in
I'm
the story, I
right.
think.
By Bonnie Garmis.
It's in the book of the month if you wanna. Yeah, I didn't put it up. Whoopsies.
I think you just put it on the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then I usually put it like on the highlight thingies.
Oh, got it.
I forgot. I also forgot to upload this book sooner because I was waiting for certain people to vote. And then I forgot. But I'll just put it like this. I'll just put the face. Mm-mm-mm.
Can you hear my cat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, is it purring or meowing?
She's purring.
Oh yeah, I hear the purr.
She loves the laptop.
Cute.
Oh, Katie, I have my heating pad.
Yeah, I'm sitting on mine. Oh, you got one?
Yeah. Oh, my feet get so cold in the winter, so it helps me when I go to sleep.
Mhm. They're very comforting too.
Yeah. Rico was working from home today and it gets so cold at her place. When I woke up, I just like went into the office and I like dropped the heating pad on the floor next to him and I walked out. And he's like, good morning. But it takes me a bit to like be ready to talk to people. So I'm just like, take the heating pad and I went to go get ready.
Wow. I just saw that there was a lot of Daisy Jones posts. I'm like, I'm excited.
Mm.
Oh yeah, Corina, since I don't have the book, can you help me split it
Yes.
into sections?
Yes. Let me see the total page count and then just guide me from there.
Yeah.
Total page count.
396.
368.
Ah, I was close.
Oh, are you guessing? I believed you. I was like, wait. I
Oh,
thought you said
no.
the book.
I'm guessing.
Without acknowledgements, 386.
Oh, I knew it was dyslexia. Just kidding, I don't have that.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it when I was uploading the different books on the forum. I'm like, wait, how many pages is this? I don't know why my brain was thinking of that.
I've been doing that a lot.
So if we split it in, what is this, 4? It's around 96 pages.
Okay.
So if you go to 90 some pages, is there a clear cutoff?
Let me see.
95, 96.
Yes. Chapter 12 starts on page 96.
Oh, nice. So don't read chapter 12.
Okay.
Don't read chapter 12.
Yeah. So Are there defined chapters? Yes.
Correct.
Cool. So chapter 1 to 11, don't read 12.
And then 96 plus 96 will be 180 plus 12, 196,
Mhm.
192.
Yeah.
Perfecto.
Mostly just needed to split the first section, and then once I get my book, I'll do the rest.
Oh, okay. That
And then
works.
we can also gauge if 96 is okay, or if we're gonna need more time, or
March is a longer month, right? Let me see. How many Tuesdays?
Well, technically there's 5 weeks, but since this week counts as the March,
Mm,
it's
1,
four.
2, 3, so 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because it's the last day of the month. You're right. Mhm.
Yeah.
Sounds
last
good.
day of the month. May has 5. And I think August. Yeah. In October. And yep. September.
Sweet.
You can pick. Cool. Cool, cool, cool.